Wagner and Wise Paper Company, which was founded in 1955, the year I was born, so it's 56 years old. That's really easy for me to always remember how old the company is. So it was started with my dad, Fred Wise, who's this guy, and though this is not his shirt, but we happen to have the same one. This is my dad, Fred. He passed away on Cinco de Mayo this year. That's my grandpa, John Wagner, who helped fund it. That's my mom's dad, and that's me in my office. And so we've got about 3 generations of us there. We are distributors of wholesale packaging supplies. So we sell everything from boxes, bubbles, tape, all the things that it takes to sell to manufacturers. So if you make widgets, we're the guys you call, or one of us you call, and for boxes and packaging, protection of it all and all that. And we started off back in '55. We sold we had a whole different thing. We sold all the independent butchers in Orange County, and all the drugstores, all the independent drugstores. We sold them all their school supplies and gift wrap and all kinds of stuff. But as things changed and got amalgamated, as CVS's and Costco's and places like that got developed, we really focused more on industrial packaging supplies. And so that's what we've been doing. And I went to school up in Santa Barbara, UCSD, and I was an art major, so I got good and prepared for business. Never took a business class or even an econ class or anything like that. But when I was 12 years old, I worked in the summers at Kilmer in Garden Grove. And I used to climb up on the racks and swing around like a monkey and kind of help out and clean all the ashtrays and stuff. That's when everyone smoked in the offices and, just telephones. It was very, very old school, obviously. And so I just kind of always been raised in the paper industry, in the box industry. It's really not a paper company, it's a packaging company. But in the old days, they always called packaging companies paper companies. So we sell janitorial supplies too, because that kind of goes hand in glove along with all the packaging. You just go back there and use all the toilet paper and paper towels, and so all my aunts and uncles call us Wise's toilet paper salesmen. So that's our claim to fame. The funny thing is that after doing a lot of jobs after school, after college up in Santa Barbara, Mary Kay moved down to San Diego and got a job at the Salk Institute. So my dad and I were talking on the phone one day. He said, "Why don't you come down and try selling some stuff?" I said, "Okay." So that was back in 1982, and so I've been there since 1982. More than half my life doing this now. So it's just the way that my faith meets up with my professions has been a long and circuitous and not always perfect way. It's just I think the way that it's really happened is that the more active that I've gotten into my faith, the more my faith has got active in my profession. And so I can totally see where I could come to church on a Sunday and just be a Sunday-only Catholic and be able to leave my faith in the pew when I leave, and just kind of go out and go do the American, deal. Just go out there and be just a crazy capitalist, just whatever it takes to make a buck. But as I got more and more into volunteering here at church and outside of church, it kind of gets you. You start getting caught being more and more uncomfortable in any kind of behavior that's just not what Christ would do. The whole thing, it sounds funny, what would Jesus do? That's kind of how, that kind of is my compass these days. And so, some of the things since 1955 when we started, like Walt Bohm, who started with us back in 1961, he'll be turning 90 in November. And I used to get bounced on Walt's knee, but now I'm his boss. And so it's family business is a very interesting thing when you've been brought up in it, And Walt's a great guy. He comes wheeling in every day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And, he has his account. He has Quicksilver. He sells Quicksilver all their janitorial supplies. So here's old Walt, he's got his like tie on. He said, well, what do you guys need tonight? I got special on towels and toilet papers. And Walt's just a kid. He's such a good man. He's worked with Boy Scouts all of his life. He never ever swears, and he's always correcting me if I do. And he really is like a father to me. But at the same time, Walt is, it's family. These guys are my family. Walt's my family. So so we find ways to work with Walt. I talk with Walt. One time recently, there's one customer said, I can't run my business and have Walt be my salesman anymore because I just can't. And so I need another salesman. So I had to tell Walt that, and that wasn't easy. It's not. I'm such a people pleaser. I love pleasing people, but at the same time, I need to look out what's best for the company, the corporate good. My dad always told me, he says, you got to take care of the greater good, the corporation, the corpus, the body. It's so much really like the body of Christ. We all have our different deals. We're truck drivers and we're salesmen and we work in the order desk and it's just amazing. I've got 30 people that I am a steward for. That I need to wake up in the morning and say, these people they deserve a paycheck. They deserve to be treated with dignity. They deserve to get decent wage. And like during the recession, we had to freeze all increases, and then my dad and I took some hefty decreases. And then a year later, I went up to had a company-wide meeting. I said, basically, we could either let 3 of you guys go, or we could all take a 10% reduction in pay. And everyone went, I'll take a reduction in pay because who knows who those 3 people are. And so we all took 10% off. We cut out our janitorial service, which was hard for me to do too, because that's taking away income from the janitors. And we cut out our uniform service because that takes away from the uniform people. So that's how this whole recession hits. But when you're selling boxes, the manufacturers who aren't manufacturing anything, things slow down and it gets very, very competitive. So it's that kind of stewardship. It's that kind of, I try to be a servant leader, from the bottom up. I was always raised that no job is below me. When the toilets are plugged up, they come to me. Greg, the toilet's plugged up. So, I push the vacuum in there along with everyone else just to chip in and help out. And so, between Walt, other people, if you've got people, it's messy. It's like the church here. If people are involved with it, it gets messy. And so everyone's got their problems. Everyone's got their issues. And, just to be compassionate and loving and understanding and loyal to them as I expect them to be loyal to the company. Most of our guys, if you've been at Kilmer for under 10 years, you're like a new person. Because once people come to work for us, they find that it's a pretty enjoyable place to work. I always feel like they are giving us the very best 8 hours of their day. And it should not be a thing where they wake up and go, oh my gosh, I gotta go to work. My boss is such a jerk and stuff like that. I want them to come to work knowing that they're appreciated and that I'm going to cut them slack and that we all just pitch in and do a good job together. So, these decisions, it's not a matter of how much Greg can make. It's not a matter of how much money I'm going to make. It's just, I'm 56 and it's just like, we've seen what money does. I've seen it. It's just like a big deal. This whole idea of like success, it's just smoke and mirrors. It's crazy. The stuff that we're sold to on TV. And so success for me is to be able to, go to bed at night and just feel like I did okay. I didn't screw up too bad. That I I didn't mess anyone over, I didn't screw anybody over or anything like that. I just did the right stuff. That I'm in partnership with my customers. I'm a salesman, so I've got 2 strikes against me walking in, right? And so that I'm in partnership with them, that I add value to my customers. I've been to customers' funerals, I've been to marriages, I've been to baptisms with my customers. I've had customers since 1984 that I still have, long-time relationships. And so I look at it as a relationship. I'm not afraid of the internet because the internet can't do what I can do for these people. Whether it's relationships, service. And so that's some of the stuff I was going to talk about. As far as what my creed at work is, just to be rigorously honest. It's so cool to be honest. Where's your stuff? I forgot to write the order. I did. It's not that the truck broke down or something. It's like, oh my gosh, I screwed up. And they'll laugh and they'll get their stuff and we'll take care of it. But it's nice just to be honest and just to tell people the truth. And that's how relationships are built. Knowing my employees and knowing their strengths and their weaknesses, knowing, trying to find ways to motivate them, try to find ways to show appreciation of them. Sometimes, a lot of times, I'll have barbecues outside, and they just love eating, barbecued hamburgers and chicken, and we eat that stuff up, and then they bring some chili or something, so we do that on Fridays sometimes. I remember flying into Orange County one time and looking down, and I was looking at all those little warehouses. Like we've got about a 26,000 foot warehouse in Brentford, which is just a very normal size, building. I just thought, under each one of those roofs is drama, is the office, It's just like I look at where I work, and I go, oh my gosh, the office is boring compared to what we got going at work, And we've got East Coasters, we've got Old Walt, we've got all these different characters, But for me, I just feel so blessed that I've been able to just be able to be there for these guys, just be there, just to be there. For them to feel comfortable to come in my office, close the door, and cry, when things are going bad. And for me to cry with them, it's really, I try to keep it family. It's just family. To get fired from killing a wife and wife, you gotta really stink. You gotta work hard. You gotta work hard. I just, like I say, I just wake up in the morning and I just say my prayers. And my prayers is basically, let me get out of the way. Let me be open to you, God. Let me be your hands, feet, your voice. Let me pause instead of, when I get all bound up in my own stuff, That's about it. I just try to be a good, loving steward of these 30 souls entrusted to me, which is kind of scary. Any questions? That's it for me.
Greg, how do you balance the profitability of the company with the care for the people?
That's a good question. The profitability of the company, we've always paid our bills. We have zero debt. We own the building. So, when we're profitable, we're very profitable. But when we're not, now we're starting to see some turning around. It's just like a slow turning around process. So now, we've been okay for about 6 months, and so now we're getting ready to turn the faucet back on. But again, not tooting my own horn, but I won't be turning my faucet on because their faucets need turning on a lot more than mine do. So I found out, I'm boss. Boss is always the last guy to hear stuff, but people in my company are hungry. It might be because they're buying like beer or cigarettes or whatever, but they don't have extra income. They got to pay their rent, they got to gas in their cars, and so they need some relief. And so that whole, no one understands, the boss is always a jerk. I know that I work for plenty of them. And I tell people, I say, well, why can't you do that? I said, I don't know, my boss is a real jerk. So as far as balancing profitability, it's just a matter of really looking at our P&L, profit and loss statement, and seeing how close are we, what would it cost if I gave everyone a 3% raise? Could the company at least break even? Breaking even is like the new profitable in this environment. So breaking even